In today's video, we take a look around two houses made from cast iron panels and also take a sneak peek around a recreation of a 1960s high street.
Hello, welcome to Through Lucy's Lens, weekly videos where I go somewhere interesting and hopefully you will find them interesting too. So in the comments, I read every single one. People have been saying, go to the Black Country Museum, go to the Black Country Museum. Have actually been here before, and right back at the start of the channel, I did a little kind of silent tour of the Black Country Museum. But I wanted to come back and feature one particular house because lately in the past kind of 5 years, they've really concentrated on more of the mid-century stuff. So the Black Country Museum was very much known for kind of Victorian, Edwardian history, but they've come up to date, and I've not actually been to see the stuff that features kind of the 1950s and the 1960s, and that is the era of social history that I've been really interested in at the moment. So I wanted to come and concentrate on those parts. So we're going to have a quick look at the 1960s high street, and then we're going to go and have a little tour of a very special house made out of iron. So let's go.
The Black Country Museum is an open-air museum of rebuilt historic buildings in Dudley, West Midlands in the United Kingdom. It's located right in the heart of the Black Country, and some really famous filming has gone on here, including some of the scenes in Peaky Blinders. They have recently opened a 1960s high street, which is right up my street. I was so excited to go and see it, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. This street is completely recreated from people's memories of life of a high street in the Black Country in the 1960s. It features real life stories, and there's actors inside the building playing real life characters. The building society was particularly poignant to me because I was a child of a building society. My mum worked in a building society, and I used to go and meet her after school, sit there during the holidays, so it was really, really nostalgic for me. And I thought it was really interesting to see a recreation of a building society rather than a bank, because these institutions helped so many people buy houses that maybe before would never have been able to do that. Virgin's newsagents was actually on Wolverhampton Street for 56 years, and this is a faithful reproduction based on the memories of the lady who ran it for all that time. There's also a record shop where you can go inside the booths and choose the record that you want to listen to. There's a telephone box where you can listen to dial-a-disc or the talking clock, and also a barbers and hairdressers. Really soon they're going to be opening a co-op as well, which is going to be a fully operating co-op where you can go in and buy things, and I cannot wait for that to open. There's also a great authentic 1960s fairground. Now, back in the day, I used to be a bit of a thrill seeker and loved theme parks, but I can't do it anymore for one reason or another. So I did enjoy a ride on the Rockets, which is absolutely brilliant. Some of these fair rides have come from the famous Joby Carter, and then the other rides are still run by the Jones family, who have been running the fairground at the Black Country Museum for 40 years. Just a moment's walk from the 1960s street and fairground are the houses that I've come to look at today. The cast iron houses are two semi-detached council houses that were built in the Brewery Fields estate in Dudley. They were built in 1925. They originally stood at 112 and 114 Birmingham Road. Not to be confused with Tin Town in Luton, made from steel, and other prefabricated housing still remaining. These two houses really are the only ones left made from iron panels. After World War I, the government released new guidelines to encourage the building of more housing for the working classes. The housing was encouraged to have a better design and more conveniences, such as an indoor bathroom, than housing that was built before. The local iron industry in Dudley was struggling, so a plan was put together to make houses from iron panels, creating not only housing but a boost to the local economy. They are an amazing example of experimental prefabricated housing, but unfortunately the experiment didn't work and only 4 of these iron houses were ever built. The houses are made from 600 iron panels bolted together, and the gaps are filled with compressed waste wool called sprag. The houses can be bolted together in 1 week by just 4 workers. The problem was the houses were expensive to build. They cost £1,000 to build, which would be about £33,000 in today's money. This is compared to a brick house, which would have cost about £430. The high building price meant that the rents charged by the local authority had to be higher than most working people could afford, so they didn't fit the brief of affordable houses for working people. They were also hard to upkeep, with the houses needing to be repainted every 2 years to stop the metal corroding. They had to be painted a white or bright cream colour to reflect the heat of the sun. The houses were incredibly hot in the summer and therefore freezing cold at winter time. Dudley Council planned to build hundreds of these houses, but by 1927 only 4 had been built. With the price of pig iron increasing and bricks becoming increasingly cheaper, they went back to building traditional brick local authority housing. But the layouts in these houses would still be similar, and this is why I think these houses evoke such strong memories. I think most people in the UK have been in a house of this scale. It just has a very comfortable feeling, and I actually met a subscriber in the living room of one of the houses, and at the time I was stood crying as I found these houses incredibly evocative, like a step back in time to my grandparents' homes. The houses are set in 2 distinct time periods, the first in the 1940s and the latter in the 1960s. The 1960s house was honestly the best example of a time capsule I've ever experienced so far. The houses were lived in until 1987 when they were demolished, but the museum did a call out for people to come forward that have lived in the houses, so they worked really closely with people who lived in them to make sure they are authentically reproduced. I think you get a real sense of this with photographs, memorabilia, things that people have donated to the museum, make it feel like a real working person's house. We're still in the 1940s here, but what's going to happen is the houses are going to combine and we're going to go back into time into the 1960s. So I can hear The Who playing in here, which is rather bizarre, and I'm going to keep talking because we all know what happens if you don't talk over copyrighted music. But this is one of the bedrooms. These houses are lovely and spacious. I was just talking to somebody downstairs and they said, similar to the prefabs, really hot in the summer, freezing cold in the winter. But they, again, gorgeous. I just love looking around old houses like this. Substitute. I can still hear The Who. Keep on going. So this is first bedroom, lovely big bedroom at the front of the house. So the bathroom is downstairs. Then we've got the small back room. We always called this smaller room in our house the box room. So you've got the little box room at the back here with a small single bed. Oh, so beautiful. Again, my fixation with windows, just thinking of all the people that stood and looked out of these windows. Even though this house wasn't here then, it was somewhere once. Let's go back into this bedroom. So this is the last room in the 1940s house. As we can see, we're gonna time travel through this gap here into the 1960s, and I am so excited to see this house. So this is again another third really nicely sized bedroom up here. Lino floor, single bed. Somebody's off. So we're going to go through from the 1940s
we're going to step through the wall to the 1960s to show how this exactly the same house built, these iron houses, would have looked in the 1960s. And I am really looking forward to this because I am very attached to that kind of mid-century period. So here we go into the 1960s. I mean, I love it already. It's much sparser than the 1940s, but the original features remain. The decor is different. A little nod to the 1966 World Cup there, I think. We've got some MG posters on the wall because obviously we are in the West Midlands. So I think this is definitely a boy's bedroom. There we go, Liverpool on the wall. It's so nice. The smell of the decade, Old Spice. This is brilliant. Got a nice record player here. This reminds me, very long story short, my dad's dad never redecorated the house, and my dad's old bedroom in their old council house in Billesley was still like this, and that poster, crazily, was still on the wall. Let's go and see Mum and Dad. Oh, again, it's lovely sized rooms in these houses. It's absolutely smashing. Got the double bed. Again, I love the way how it's not curated to the point where you can't touch anything, you can't look at anything. It's like somebody's just gone to work, and that is what I love about places like this. And we can even go for a mooch in the wardrobe, and we know I like a mooch in a wardrobe. What have we got in here then? I've actually still got a wardrobe just like this in my bedroom at home because I just really like them. It's got the clothes and a nice iron bedstead to match the iron house. No fires or any sort of central heating, so I'll research what was what when I get home. God, my mum had these. She probably still got them, to be honest. So, this is the box room in the 1960s house. This is so nostalgic. That's what I had on my bed when I was a kid, 100%. So this one is another boy's bedroom. Looks like that bedroom's Liverpool supporter. The lad in here supports the West Brom. And this radio here is just like the one my nan had in her kitchen, playing Radio WM 24/7. We've got that here. Got the sport on the radio. Unfortunately, once I got downstairs to the amazing living room in the 1960s house, which looked so much like my paternal grandfather's house, it was just perfect. There was a lot of school children having tours, and obviously it's really important that we're not filming when there's children about, so I didn't get as much as that as I wanted. But this house and this kitchen, everything about it was just so stunning. I've actually got those cups there. I collect them, the midwinter cups, but I could have genuinely just hung out in this kitchen all day, made myself something to eat,
What do you think would be relevant in a kitchen like this? Maybe a shepherd's pie or some nice lamb chops with vegetables. But genuinely, I could have sat at that kitchen table just like the families that lived here before and spent the day here because I thought it was absolutely magnificent. What I really loved about the kitchen was how you could go inside all the drawers and see all the knickknacks. That apron there was so similar to one my nan would have worn. So you can look inside and, you know, everybody's got that drawer in their kitchen, haven't they, where there's just stuff that you can go through. And it's just curated so beautifully because they worked with the families that were here. I love that. We had Vim in our house. I didn't see any Vim. And honestly, I would have one of these dainty made kitchens even today. I think they're absolutely marvellous. But yeah, this house just gave me, I just loved it. And I hope you've enjoyed the tour too. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please share in the comments if you remember homes like this. I read every single one and I write some of them down actually and use them in my own research. So I really, really do appreciate it. Until next time, bye bye.